How to tell if guitar isn't actually for you. Of course, I am referring to this video, which is literally titled, How to Tell If Guitar Isn't For You. There was a very strong negative reaction to this video, so I wanted to create a longer form one and basically just let you guys know what I was thinking and yeah, like fucking explain things in more detail. Let's just watch the video first and we'll talk about it more after. So here it is.
Here are some signs that guitar isn't actually for you. Point 1, you can't name many famous guitar players. If I asked you to name 5 famous guitar players right now, could you do it? 5 is really not that many. If you can't do this, you might still like guitar, but you definitely don't like it as much as someone who can name 5, 10, or 25 famous guitar players. 2, you don't consume guitar content online. If you're not interested enough in guitar to consume content about it, you're definitely not as into it as someone who does. But you get a pass on this since you're watching this video. 3, you don't think about guitar very much. What I mean by that is guitar is not on your mind very often.
How the fuck do I turn off these stupid captions?
On the other hand, if you think about guitar constantly, congrats! Your brain is helping you get better even when the guitar is not in your hands. And point 4, you hate practicing. You probably saw this one coming. Motivation for practice comes in waves. Sometimes you may be super excited to practice, other times not so much. But once again, someone who loves practicing is going to improve much quicker. Age reveal at 1 million YouTube subscribers.
All right, so that was the video. And if we go into the comments section here, we can see a lot of people, you know, they got a problem with my take where I said, God damn it, how do I zoom into this? Fucking shit. Okay, here we go, kind of. It still looks stupid, but basically, oh, you like guitar? Name every guitar player. So yeah, people clearly had a problem with the fact that I said, if you can't name many famous guitar players, then maybe guitar is not for you. Now, let me explain why I said this. When I auditioned for music school, it was a jazz program, right? It was a jazz degree that I was applying for. And it was a 4-year degree. The person that was auditioning me, he was the guitar prof, right? And he asked me during the auditioning process, Brandon, how many famous jazz guitar players can you name? Or how many jazz guitarists can you name? And, you know, I couldn't name any. And the reason that he asked me that question is because he wanted to see how interested I was in jazz. It was a jazz program, after all. It turned out that I was not very interested in jazz. And this is a question that you can't really lie about, right? Like, if you're asked to name famous jazz musicians and you can't name any, well, like, You can't lie and try to come up with some fake names because, you know, he would know that I was bullshitting. But on top of that, you know, it's just a really good way to quickly kind of suss me out and figure out how interested in jazz I really was, right? Which it turned out that I was not super interested. Of course, I finished my degree. I did well. I still use everything that I learned. Well, not everything that I learned. You know, some of the shit that I learned in music school was pretty pointless. But my point being is, you know, he just wanted to get a read on me, right? So the reason that I'm saying, like, if you can't name many famous guitar players, maybe guitar isn't for you. Well, look, if you like music and you can name a few famous bands that inspire you and like they inspire you to pick up the guitar, that's kind of the same shit, right? Like, they might not necessarily be guitar players, but maybe there's some songs that you're really interested in, and those songs motivated you to pick up the guitar in the first place and start learning it, right? As long as something like that exists, that's a good thing, right? But, you know, when I make these videos, I'm often talking to someone who, like when in my mind, when I'm talking to you guys, you guitar chefs out there, I'm imagining that I'm talking to someone that's really fucking into guitar, right? Now, most of you motherfuckers aren't serious. You don't give that much of a shit about guitar. A lot of you watch my videos and you might not even be guitar players. You might be drummers or bassists. I've seen that. Some of you guys don't even play guitar. You watch me because I'm like hilarious, which I can understand why you do that. But basically, you know, if I was talking to someone that was really serious about guitar, at least that's what they said to me. They said that they were very serious about it, but they couldn't name any famous guitar players. I'd be like, man, you're full of shit. Because if you were really interested in guitar and you really wanted to be a great guitar player, you would be listening to, like, you would know all these famous guitar players, like, because that's what you're into, right? You would be able to name all these famous musicians. You'd have all these influences. I talked about this when I watched the Matteo Mancuso interview with Rick Beato, because half the fucking interview he was talking about his influences, right? You see, and he's a virtuosic player. And I don't use that term lightly, by the way. That term, you know, there are very few guitar players in the world that I would refer to as a virtuoso. Anyway, the man had influences, right? So, you know, I stand behind that statement. I still think that if you can't name us, I still believe that if you can't name any famous guitar players, that you may not actually be that interested in guitar, at least compared to someone that can. But I still want to point out that, look, I mean, a lot of you probably don't have this grand vision to be a fucking famous guitar player, right? That's fine. You don't have to do that, and you probably don't want to do that because, you know, it's very difficult. But as long as you have something that you can cite as inspiration to play guitar, like if you have some famous songs that you like to listen to that, you know, have guitar in them, you know, that's the main thing, right? If you have famous bands that you listen to that inspire you to play, that's the main thing, right? Let's see what the comments are saying about this kind of stuff. I started sleeping naked with my guitar to create a more intimate bond. Yeah. Comments like this, man, this felt kind of gatekeepy, especially the first point. That's a load of shit because, guys, come on. I don't know who you are. Like, I don't know who... What is this? Isa Crocum? 4743. I don't know who you are, my man. And you know, you don't know who I am either. Like, you've seen my YouTube videos, but we don't know each other. We're never going to meet in real life. So if you are going to let your life be influenced and dictated and controlled by someone that is never going to meet you, let alone knows you exist. Like, I don't know who you are. I'm reading a username right now, but I don't know who you are, man. Like, I don't know. I could walk by you on the street and not know who you are. I don't know you exist, right? So if you're going to let someone that doesn't know you exist control your life and your actions, you're weak. Like, gatekeeping. You're really going to let someone on the fucking internet control your life? You got, like, I don't know about that. But anyway, let's see what the replies said, because a lot of people probably agreed. I think he might be joking, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not totally joking about this. If you want to be a great guitar player, you ought to know some famous players. But if you want to play for fun and never really get that good and things of that nature, I mean, you don't need to study the instrument. You don't need to study the lineage of famous players, right? And, you know, for a lot of people, that's fine, right? Just don't go wasting your money. Like, what's the point of this video? Like, how to tell if guitar isn't for you? Like, look, if you think guitar is for you, but it's not, you're going to waste a lot of your money. You're going to waste a lot of your time. You'd be better off just like playing video games or smoking cigarettes or something of that nature. You know, I mean, in all seriousness, you would probably be better off putting that time elsewhere, right? Because here's what you got to realize about guitar as well. Guitar is not something that you just like learn how to play it and then that skill just like is now there forever. If you don't continuously practice, you lose skill over time, right? This is one of the harsh truths about guitar. You will lose skill over time unless you stay consistent and you keep practicing, right? Now, if you don't do that, you know, you might sound, you know, pretty good. Like maybe you're B tier at a certain age, but then 10 years go by of you not playing, then you drop down to D tier, and then you have to work just to get back to where you were. And you really just lost some time, right? So, you know, this is why I made this video. And people took it like really, really too far. The internet has a tendency to like take things too far. I think the people like you guys watching this video right now are probably a little bit more reasonable. This video actually did decently well. I think it got like 400,000 views or some shit. So of course there's going to be people in there that, are a little stupid, right? But yeah, I mean, he has a point though. Unless you are a young kid just starting out, it would be very strange if someone didn't even know any famous players of their instrument. I dropped that guy a like because, yeah, he was right. Super gatekeeping, agreed. Again, I mean, I think the concept of gatekeeping, like I actually had to look that up because I didn't know what it was. But the concept of gatekeeping to me doesn't really make sense because I would never let someone on the internet control my behavior. That's just, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Point 1 is a miss and discouraging without being critical in a nurturing way. Well, I've kind of explained my case here, so hopefully some people will be on board with it. If not, to each their own. It doesn't really affect me. I don't really give a shit what you think. I don't care if you like me. If I start caring if you like me, I'm going to be a totally different YouTube guy. If I start caring about you liking me or not, then I will act a lot differently, and that's not how I want to act. I'm being my authentic self here. So if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, man. There's more family-friendly people that you might like. Lots of other guys that are, kind of the same. They're not really different in any ways. 100% agree. I mean, imagine someone who lives out in a completely rural area who has no access to the internet but plays guitar like nobody's business. According to this, they shouldn't be playing. This is a good point. Like, this guy has made a good point here. But although it's also not really like super realistic. I mean, most people have the internet nowadays. And if somebody lived in a rural area and didn't have the internet, there's still a very low likelihood that they never would have ever been exposed to like even a radio, right? So they could have taken some inspiration from the radio. But I guess in this video, I didn't really say that. I said that you need to name famous guitar players. So, I mean, this is me kind of explaining myself a little bit more, right? But let's talk about some of the other things that I said in this video. One of the things that I said was you don't like to practice. Look, if practicing is a chore for you, that is normal. Sometimes it does feel like a chore. But if it feels like a chore all the time, I mean, that's not really, that's a sign that guitar is not really for you, right? Because if you're not into practicing, you never want to practice. I don't know what to tell you, man. Let's see what Google says. How to tell if guitar isn't for you. Does anything come up if we search this? How to tell if playing the guitar is right for you. Okay. Let's look at this one from Ultimate Guitar. I've always wanted to play electric guitar. So 4 months ago, I started taking lessons. I love listening to music and discovering new guitar players, so I thought I would be easily motivated to play. However, in this 4 months, it has been hard for me to practice, really hard for me to practice. Yeah, here's another thing, fellas, like motivation is not reliable. Discipline is reliable, but it takes more effort. You get what you put in, right? I never feel like doing it, and I always find excuses not to do it. Yeah, okay, guitar's not for you, bro. When I finally start practicing, I normally stop playing after 15 minutes or so because I am just not motivated. The longest I've practiced in a day was around 4 hours, and the last one felt like hell. The little progress I've done is through forcing myself to play because I rarely have fun when practicing. The first song, he's working on some songs. Yeah, so this guy, this was like a long time ago, but here's another thing that is worth mentioning. If you are experiencing dopamine from other things in your life, and there are other things in your life that you find extremely stimulating and entertaining. So for example, if you're going on social media and just obsessed with that, if you're obsessed with video games, if you smoke a bunch of weed, if you vape a bunch, if you're smoking cigarettes, if you're chasing girls all the time, watching pornography, things of that nature, and that sort of stuff. I mean, the crazy levels of dopamine that you're experiencing from that is going to make guitar boring because guitar is not something that, you will master in 4 months, right? In fact, during your first 4 months, you're still going to be a beginner that entire time, most cases, and you will suck. And it's embarrassing. I don't know. Well, I don't think it's embarrassing. I think if you have a good attitude, it doesn't really matter because it's just part of the process. I mean, you're going to suck at the beginning. But if you're experiencing large amounts of dopamine from other things in your life that are instant and just easy to get, cake, very easy to experience a rush of dopamine from eating a chocolate cake. You know, very easy. But with guitar, to experience a rush of dopamine, well, let's think about how that happens. You know, learning a song that you've listened to for a very long time and now all of a sudden you're able to do, that would probably release some dopamine, I would think. But it's hard. You're not just going to be able to do that very quickly. And if you've only been playing for 4 months, you're probably not going to nail Johnny Be Good. I mean, that intro, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but you're probably not going to nail it. Hey, Joe, same shit, man. You know, you might be able to play some pretty easy riffs, maybe some pretty easy chord progressions, but like the really cool shit, you know, like, I mean, you could probably get a Sweet Child of Mine riff in 4 months, I would think. I think that's very, very doable. I think it'd be unreasonable actually to not do that as long as you're practicing and you're into it. But yeah, this guy does not seem very into it, right? So yeah, it is what it is. Let's go back to this video here.
Don't consume guitar content online. If you're not interested enough in guitar to consume content about it, you're definitely not as into it as someone who does.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing that I think is very reasonable to say, right? Like, if you're not interested in consuming guitar content online, well, you're not as into it as someone that does. I mean, how can you really argue this? I mean, this is pretty common sense, right? Like, if you look at your own behavior, like, what are you spending your time doing? Like, if you're spending your time going online and looking up online guitar videos, then, you know, you probably have a good interest in guitar. I mean, you're here watching this video right now. I'm a guitar player. That's how people know me. They like my guitar playing and teaching. That's why you watch this channel. So you get a pass on this, right? But someone that buys a guitar, owns a guitar. A lot of people own guitars, but, you know, they just have them in the fucking corner collecting dust and all that shit. Like, you know, and they're not consuming guitar content online. I mean, dude, like, guitar is not for them, man.
3, you don't think about guitar very much.
Yeah, what I mean by that is, you know when you're in the shower and your thoughts are just kind of like going crazy, like you're thinking about many different things. That is actually productive when you're thinking. Thinking is productive. I don't know if you guys know Warren Buffett. I mean, I have a guitar channel here, so I don't know how much of you guys are financially savvy. But Warren Buffett allocates time every day just to think, right? That's productive. Productive thinking. I mean, you know, when your brain is sharp, like in the morning or some shit, you're just kind of in the background processing things that you've learned about guitar and working things out. If that is happening to you, then that's good. Guitar is for you because your brain, like, you're so into it, like, that your subconscious is just fucking going to work, man, and working on making you a better guitar player. So that's a good sign, right?
What I mean by that is guitar is not on your mind very often. On the other hand, if you think about guitar constantly, congrats! Your brain is helping you get better even when the guitar is not in your hands. And point 4, you hate practicing. You probably saw this.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about that. If you hate practicing, man, like this guy, like, let's see what people said. Johnny Be Good and Hey Joe are not really the easiest songs out there. You've been playing for 4 months and that is pretty much nothing. So try playing some really simple stuff first. And maybe guitar isn't for you. If it isn't fun, there's no reason to do it. It's a possibility, but try learning some easier songs first. Play Smoke on the Water or Knocking on Heaven's Door or Sunshine of Your Love. If you don't start feeling motivated, there's really nothing you can do, and it might be better to find a hobby you enjoy. Yeah, that's something that I would agree with, you know. Your biggest problem is that you're practicing too much. In your first few months, playing for 4 hours a day won't really help you improve any more than just playing an hour or so. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I like, you don't want to think in absolutes, right? Like the Gonya with the Kristen Coke bottle, who is apparently unbanned, used to be banned. You don't want to think in terms of absolutes, like it's like this or this, right? It's usually actually somewhere in the middle. And this person, I don't know if her name is Kristen or some shit, but saying you don't progress that much, like playing for 4 hours a day won't really help you improve when you just start. I mean, that's not true, man. Like it's a case by case basis. This is what I really hate actually about YouTube, is because like YouTube rewards strong opinions. And oftentimes it's better to not have a strong opinion, but to like leave yourself open to interpretation, like, or leave your own, you guys know what I'm fucking trying to say, man. Open your mind, being like, see, this is why politics is so fucked, because you got people that are like super on the left, you got people that are super on the right, and they're just at war with each other, right? And this is what politicians want, by the way. They want everyone to be divide and conquer, right? I would say the politicians have successfully achieved that, because people hate each other. It takes an intelligent person to realize what's really going on. And anyway, let's get back to guitar. Motivation issues. Man, I don't give a shit about this guy. I don't care about this fucking person, man. This was 8 years ago. Fuck him. Let's go back to the comment section and see, listen to people roast me a little bit more, because that's always a good time, right? People have actually made videos like getting pissed off at me for this video. Don't let this guy detour you from learning to play guitar. Again, if you're going to let someone on the internet have that much influence over you, it's your fault. You like guitar when you can name 5 bassists that play with those 5 guitarists. Yes, sir. That's true. Guitar is not for you. I hope you mean as a career, not a hobby. To just love guitar, you don't need to name guitarists or constantly think about it or want to practice every moment of every day. You just need to love music, want to learn more, and work toward getting better when you have time. Yeah, I mean, let's see what people have to say to that. Again, yeah, the thing that I missed in this video was saying who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to someone who is very much like a diehard, really into guitar, right? And a lot of the people watching these videos and making comments like this are not really into guitar. They like it, but, well, he says that he loves it, but I would debate that, because really loving it and just not, like why are you going to sit here and try to argue that, you make time for it when you can, if you truly love it. Like, you just need to love the music and work toward getting better when you have time. Yeah, I guess you can love music, but working toward getting better when you have time, like if you love guitar, but you only work toward getting better when you have time, you don't love guitar if this is your attitude, man. Because if you really loved it, you would always be thinking about it and you would really put a lot of time in. See, some people are just delusional, like our man Alkaline or Eleckaline, whatever. Nah, I see his point, though. It makes sense. If you really like something, you're going to research it. If you have a hobby that you don't think about very often, it probably isn't the right hobby. These people are agreeing with me. If you love a hobby, you will research it. Yeah, these people are agreeing with me. Some people are just delusional, right? This is what we got to remember. And, don't take comments too seriously. I see YouTubers all the time, talking about comments and, hate that they get. It's man, who cares? I'm not going to listen to these fucking idiots. I genuinely see these people as morons, right? This is what we have to understand. So you're never going to see me making a video about hate comments, because I see myself above these people. It's fucking true. It's true though. Like I'm sitting here, I'm gonna get canceled for this shit, man. But it's true. Like, if you're, yeah, I mean, let's see. I hate when experienced guitar players say stuff like this. Like, even if your whole life doesn't revolve around guitar, that doesn't mean it's not for you. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's just a matter of how much attention you decide to give it. But forget that. Let's just discourage people instead. I guess having a more nuanced discussion doesn't make for good shorts content / clickbait. Oh, and then he's got the middle finger. Well, hey, man. That's why I'm making this video, so we can have a more nuanced discussion. So there you go, all right? I appreciate you flipping me off, but I can't even name one famous guitar player, but I love playing guitar, and that's totally okay. This guy is good, and he usually knows what he's talking about, but if you'll take it from me rather than him, guitar is for everyone who wants it. Guitar is for people who don't use social media, people who don't study the styles of certain artists, and even people who don't like practicing as much as playing a full song. Guitar is a hobby and an art form, and last time I checked, art is for everyone, and everyone deserves a hobby. Yeah, you can kind of tell like how uninterested I am in reading this just by the tone of how I read it. Like I just kind of rush through it. I feel like some would take this as a sign to give up. Guitar is for everyone. That's not true. I love your content, but I just can't agree with this video. Keep rocking, though. Thank you, man. Guitar is not for everyone, though. I mean, it's just not. If guitar was for everyone, then everyone would play. So, you know, this is just not the case. But anyway, yeah, you know, like, I just wanted to make this video, as I said earlier, to kind of like explain myself. And, yeah. I was maybe a bit harsh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. But it's a short, man. They're like 60 seconds. You don't have a lot of time to explain yourself. That's why I'm making this video, to explain everything, you know? All right, I have nothing else to say. 52-week guitar player is currently closed for enrollment until mid-June. You can sign up to the waiting list, get on the waiting list, because if you do that, you'll be among the first in line. And in 52-week guitar player, you're going to get structure, practice routines, feedback, accountability, live interaction with pros, and big fun in the sun. We only accept 100 students every couple of months, so that's why we have a waiting list. So I encourage you to get on that waiting list, and that's it. Now just leave!